As Old as Time Part 2. Kidnapping. Maurice was struggling a little in the woods. He was not as young as he once was, and he hadn't had a moment's rest for what seemed like days. Philippe, who had shown up in his pen like nothing had ever happened, steadfastly refused to go anywhere. The horse was done with adventures, and that much was obvious, even when Maurice tried to pull him along and yelled. So the inventor marched through the cold, dark forest alone, a small lantern hanging from a stick held before him, and a pack of useful things on his back. A very strange and lonely Kris Kringle making his way through the dark. In it were ropes and hooks and gunpowder and what little money he had. Everything he could think of to either bribe the beast or help Belle escape secretly. He would literally scale the walls of the palace to get her back, if he needed to. Sometimes in the night strange thoughts came to him, like he had somehow taken this path before, besides one time accidentally on his way to the fair, and he kept expecting guards or border patrols or something, which was silly. This was deep forest, and there was no one around for miles. Maurice? The inventor stopped in his tracks. There's no one around for miles, he repeated to himself. He turned around slowly, swinging the lantern to look. Against all probabilities, there were Gaston and LeFou, holding a much larger lantern. LeFou looked miserable in the cold. Gaston like he didn't notice it at all. Gaston, Belle's father cried in relief. You came after all. How did you find me? The larger hunter grinned generously. You led us on a merry chase, Maurice. We thought you'd be home on such a cold winter's night, so then I checked the bookstore. At this, LeFou seemed to deflate, shrinking into himself in either exhaustion, embarrassment, or horror, or a strange mix of all three. But you weren't there either, so I tracked you, Maurice. I tracked you like a skilled hunter I am. Gaston grinned and patted the sack and the club he carried over one shoulder. Wow, this is great, Maurice said. I'm sure with you along, we can absolutely subdue the beast. Where's your gun? Yes, subdue the beast. Gaston laughed, too loudly. You really are a riot, Maurice. Why don't you make it easy on all of us and just come quietly? Come quietly? Finally, Maurice began to read the situation as it really was. LeFou looking nervous, Gaston looking triumphant, the presence of the sack and the lack of firepower. He began to back away. No, he's real, Gaston. I'm not making it up. Maybe it's a crazy man in a beast suit, but whatever it is, he has Belle. You have to help me. I may not be able to, but Monsieur d'Arc hopefully will, and by helping you, he will be helping me. Gaston reaching for him. To get Belle. D'Arc? Before he was knocked unconscious, Maurice's mind went a funny place. It was unthinkable that D'Arc would have been anything to do with this, because... But he couldn't quite remember. And then it was all black.